Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. Some wondered if it would ever happen, but tonight Tasmania finally has its rightful place in the AFL. With the stroke of a pen, the state, which has blooded so many champions of the game, now has a beating heart at the sport's highest level.
Breaking down the longest lasting barrier to an Australian state joining the game's main stage.
There are big days and then there are really big days.
A day beginning with a hint of the symbolism.
The football journey is gone and gone to a destination that probably should have gone a while ago.
Which turned to signatures, and from the same races where the map's legends once ran came a similar roar.
You cannot leave Tasmania off the map and call yourself an Australian Football League.
The men's team is set to begin in 2028, even if the new stadium isn't ready in time. The women's entry date is still being worked through. So too, where the administration base and high performance centre will be, if father-son, father-daughter rules will apply, and what concessions the club will receive.
The patience is less in our competition and the team will be able to have to compete more aggressively or on a week-to-week basis from year one.
Those who have waited years say this day trumps them all.
I saw Tasmania beat Victoria at York Park, and then I commentated in the game at North Hobart when they did it again, and this is equally as good, if not better.
And those who only got to play for this state,
and Revolt bounces back up, and
as part of Allies and All-Stars mashups, can see the inspiration for younger talent.
The formation will be an exciting project for Tasmanians, but also people to relocate, come down here and be a part of setting up that 19th licence.
The most exciting thing, it just really shows a really, really clear pathway.
If you did want to make it in women's football, you do have to pack up and leave. So this minimises that for the future.
Later this year, the public can help pitch the club's name, logo, Guernsey design and song, and maybe a local legend will become the inaugural coach.
If you get an iconic statesman-like leader, like a Lee Matthews type, or someone that's been successful in the system, so as soon as you get your name called out, you can't wait to get down there.
And maybe one of these players will help put the map on the national map.
Let's go now to Tom Johnson to continue our coverage. Sorry, Tom, I'm talking over the top of you. Your time, Team Tasmania is here.
Yes, it is at last, Kim. Not a second too soon. It will enter the league most likely in 2028, which is absolutely fantastic. There's been the emotional case always there, from those grazed knees from the gravel ovals, from the champions born out of dairy paddocks turned footy fields in the northwest, and of course those legends which were born on York Park and Bell Reeve as well. This is a brand new chapter for Tasmanian football and just so exciting. Of course, the roadmap to putting the map on the national stage, there's plenty more work to do. But what I can say, Kim, is around the traps today, there is lots of excitement about this, genuine anticipation for what's to come.
Here is Tom. And among those welcoming the news is the footy community and the next crop of stars. The dream of playing at the highest level from home now set to be realised.
Kick to kick carries a little extra weight now. The first batch of players to don the map in the National League are honing their craft.
We could be the first generation to play. Hopefully I get to play for them.
A Tasmanian team will turbocharge interest in the national game and put footies back in the hands of little devils everywhere.
It'd mean the world to me if I got to play for Tasmania. I'd love it to do that.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool because no one's really had that opportunity.
There is a tangible buzz about the playing group, but especially the younger guys coming through to be able to achieve their dream. This now makes that achievable in their home state.
One of the state's proudest clubs, Glenorchy, has fallen on tough times of late, bringing the game's top tier to Tassie a fix for falling participation.
Not that everyone needs to, aspire to play at the high level, but they aspire to play the game that they love with their mates.
Tasmania is a footy heartland state. Everyone's already got their own colours. The question now for fans is whether to adopt a second side or swap allegiances.
You can't just throw Richmond away after all these years of being American for them,
And you drop the Saints for Tasmania?
Oh, no, not really. I don't know how I'll go there. No, well, I'll just wait and see. Yeah, probably would.
I'd probably stick with the Lions.
But it's clear for some, the team has a bittersweet taste.
I don't like how they've been the stadium here.
Well, there's other things to be done first, you know, schooling and medical.
Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
The road to an AFL team has taken endless energy and mountains of money. Calls for a homegrown team stretch right back to the early 90s. But despite being a football heartland, Tasmania was always beaten to the punch.
When Tasmania recorded its famous State of Origin win over Victoria in 1990, our AFL ambitions were announced to the world. State coach Robert Shaw was among the first calling for the league to consider a Tasmanian team.
There was method to our madness. We wanted to showcase Tasmania's talent to the mainland in the hope of getting our own game.
Those murmurs grew into a megaphone moment when Tassie decided to go for it in 1996.
I believe sincerely that Ross Oakley will stand before us in the not too distant future, open an envelope and say, "And you are the winner, Tasmania."
This was the state's first formal bid, delivered to AFL headquarters at a time when Victorian clubs were struggling, some saved only by donation drives from selfless supporters. But Go For It followed a familiar script. A brand new stadium was proposed at the Glenorchy Showgrounds, and high-profile media commentators weighed in.
Sheehan wrote, "Tassie should be, in his words, next cab off the rank."
But in an early sign of things to come, the AFL wanted a team somewhere else first.
We've told Tasmania that there's no spot available at this stage.
Instead, Port Adelaide entered the league. With the bid dead in the water, Hawthorn stepped in to play some home games in Launceston from 2001. St Kilda followed suit in 2003, but discussion over a Tasmanian team's merit never faded.
You're getting 18,000 ordinary games in Tasmania. You've got a capacity of 25.
St Kilda should be there because they've got a spiritual link with Tasmania.
Oh, give me a break.
In 2008, then Premier Paul Lennon launched our second major push. It's time.
The 150th year of AFL football, Australian rules football in this country, is an appropriate time for Tasmania to be taken seriously.
Its time was a more complete package, including a major corporate sponsor in Mars and a local backer in My State Financial. The bid boasted bumper stickers and even a website, tassiefootyteam.com.au. Once again, though, the AFL's eyes were elsewhere.
The two markets that we've identified as priorities going forward, it was South East Queensland and Western Sydney.
Tasmanians could only watch as the Gold Coast and Greater Western Sydney burst onto the grand stage with a seemingly blank cheque. But a change in the AFL hierarchy gave the state one last chance to come in from the cold.
I love coming down to Tasmania. I don't know if Tasmanians love me coming here.
History repeated with more task forces, websites and stadium plans. Only this time, deals with the Hawks and Roos were put up as collateral, and Tasmania was doing the tough talking, especially when the pandemic delayed the licence decision.
To be frank, I think it's disrespectful of the AFL in terms of the way that they have managed this.
Now the state has emerged with the unanimous backing of all 18 clubs. The push, considered a now or never, was never going to fail.
Today is the result of nearly 150 years of football passion by Tasmania and their proud and passionate football community.
After every bump and bruise along the way, the siren has finally sounded on a game lasting more than 30 years. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
And Tom, back to you now. Today has been all about celebrating, but there's hard work to be done. What's the next step?
Well, Kim, the next step really revolves around where I am now here at Macquarie Point. There will be a roof, and as you can tell, it's raining here, so that's a good reason to have one. Whether it will be fixed or retractable, though, is the big question. The other big thing to happen is, of course, the big sell. Today was the sugar hit, but now the momentum needs to keep going for the next 5 years before that team finally does arrive in 2028, Kim.
A Tasmanian woman working alongside expectant and new mums has expressed her concern at a decision by St Helens Private to close the only mother-baby unit in the state. After June, the dedicated service will no longer be available, with calls ramping up for a more immediate solution.
Speaking to some clients today, they're really concerned about the lack of provision in the future. I really hope the state government can step in and provide some sort of adequate service.
I think it would be unacceptable for Tasmania not to have a mother and baby unit. It's up to Jeremy Rockcliffe to provide some clear commitments to make sure there is continuity of service.
The government is planning to establish a public mother-baby unit within the Tasmanian Health Service. The Premier is also in discussions with other private providers about creating another service in the future. Police say they hold concerns for the welfare of a 14-year-old girl who has been missing since Sunday night. Cheyenne Lee Tatnell was last seen around Henry Street near the North Esk River in Launceston around 8:30. She'd only recently moved to the area from Burnie.
Cheyenne's described as being approximately 160 centimetres tall. She's slim-built with blonde hair, and on Sunday she was last seen to be wearing a cream-coloured hooded jumper with a dark-coloured motif across the chest and shoulder, as well as a pair of bike shorts.
Anyone with information is urged to come forward or call Crime Stoppers. Returning now to our AFL team coverage, and Tasmania is officially in the league. Let's cross to the Premier, Jeremy Rockcliffe now, who's at Parliament Square. Premier, thanks for taking the time to join us this evening. Do you think you've finally kicked the winning goal?
Absolutely, and so very excited for all Tasmanians. This has been decades in the making, and I'm excited this evening for the believers, the 90,000 people that signed up believing in Tasmania, confident in Tasmania that we can finally do it. And no longer is Tasmania left off the AFL map. We're part of the competition, and all those young kids that I've met over the course of the last year as Premier, excited about playing for their own team, singing their own song in their own Tassie colours, finally will be realised, which I'm very excited about.
Premier, you talk about the believers, and no doubt the enthusiasm from you and others today is definitely on show, but there are also those with serious concerns about the government's priorities today. Premier Rockcliffe, have you prioritised AFL over health, education and housing?
Not at all. Our priorities have always been health, our schools of course, our police on the beat, and indeed housing, and we can have it all. And today's an investment in our future. Today's about investing in sporting infrastructure, investing in our young kids, investing in the economy, so we can fund those essential services that I know all Tasmanians, including myself, care about.
But are you, from a political perspective, are you concerned how the stadium issue has divided the state, and how will you work to ensure all Tasmanians are behind the team and the more controversial stadium development?
Look, really, these kind of decisions, the hardest decisions, reap the best rewards. And today is a unifying day. Today is about bringing Tasmanians together. Today is about recognising the legends of the game over successive generations, and looking forward to our own Tassie legends who are there in the mini league at the moment, playing junior footy, and realising their aspiration, having been inspired by so many AFL football players, AFLW football players in recent years, and to continue, of course, their dreams, their aspirations. And that's the unifying factor, the fact that we have fought hard, we've won the good fight, and now we're going to reap the rewards of aspiration and confidence in Tasmania.
Okay, final question, Premier. The team name that will be decided by the people, but let's start right here, right now. You've got three choices, Premier. Tassie Devils, Tassie Blue Gums, or as some social media outlets are pushing, the Tassie Turbo Chooks. Premier, name one.
Okay, well, let's delete the Turbo Chooks. I'll go with the Devils, but what we want to do is we want to hear from all Tasmanians. This is Tasmanians' team, and I want to hear from all Tasmanians in terms of the name of the team. But what a great conversation to have.
Oh, the Turbo Chooks, surely, Premier. Thank you very much for your time this evening, Premier Jeremy Rockcliffe. Now, a senior Tasmania police officer has been flown to the Alfred Hospital in Melbourne following a horror crash in Launceston yesterday. The senior sergeant sustained multiple pelvic fractures after being hit by a garbage truck in the city centre. He's in a stable condition. Top brass has thanked community members who came to the aid of the injured officer. More than 6 months after a deliberate fire devastated Bowen Road Primary School, its library has been rebuilt. But the journey to recovery is far from over, with only 10% of learning resources replaced.
Burning from the inside out, Bowen Road Primary School was set alight in October last year.
If you can imagine every book that you replace, for instance, can be $10 a book. We've lost 21,000. That's just books. That's not upholstery. That's not chairs. That's not desks. It's not boards and computers.
Around $2.8 million worth of damage blanketed by smoke. Emotions running high as fire crews extinguished the school's C block. Half a handmade sign, one of the few remnants that survived the flames.
It was found underneath one of the buildings, and again the contractor took it upon himself to frame it, and that's part of our history.
The heartache and destruction at the hands of a 14-year-old Moona teenager.
It was a silly prank that went much further than he expected, but we don't dwell on that. We look at the bright side.
And on the bright side is this new library, complete after months of hard work, from plumbing and electrical repairs to floor and wall coverings.
They've now got the challenge and the opportunity of rebuilding the collection of books and other resources that it houses.
I'm very excited because we get to replace some of the old books that no one really read anymore.
While it's a fresh start for the library, construction is yet to get underway on 4 classrooms destroyed in the blaze. The school says they're unlikely to be ready for students until the end of next year.
The classroom that burnt down was actually our classroom, so we lost everything.
Staff and students banding together through it all, with donations pouring in to help them back on their feet. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Launceston's CBD has been put on the map in a national competition celebrating the country's best town centres. Food festivals, savvy marketing and the local community have been given credit for the honour.
Bruce Webb thinks Launceston is just his cup of tea. He made the move to Tasmanian shores 16 years ago after a life-changing holiday.
The city is growing, it's changing and it's evolving, and there's exciting things afoot.
These days, he's got his dream job selling tea in the city centre.
I've made some great friends. And developed great repartee and engagement with the local community. So they treat my shop as a home away from home.
Heritage buildings and boutique businesses have helped Launceston be named one of just 3 finalists in the running for Best Regional Town Centre.
You look at all the old buildings around as well. If you're driving through the street but you don't realise that up above all of this are the lovely old buildings.
The Main Street Australia Awards hope to spotlight the importance of our town centres.
They're the flagship place where people come if they want to invest, if they want to go spend money, if they want to spend time.
We're seeing new initiatives such as the North Festival and activations in Civic Square really taking our city in new and diverse ways.
The winner will be announced later this month. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
Exhibitors are putting the final touches on at Quercus Park ahead of AgFest's return tomorrow. The event back to its usual May time slot, with organisers expecting bumper crowds over the next 3 days.
We only shut the event probably 7-8 months ago at August, so there's been a lot of hard work from the AgFest committee. A lot of exhibitors are back, which we're just absolutely rapt about.
Well, hopefully the weather is going to be conducive to lots of people turning up and we get to speak to people from all over.
Those going are urged to pack the gumboots just in case, with some showers and rain forecast for the event. Gates open at 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Recapping our biggest sports story of the year, Tasmania has finally secured its spot in the national football competition. The club is expected to begin playing in the league around 2028. Outgoing boss Gil McLachlan was there at North Hobart Oval to seal the deal on the 19th licence, even hinting at his preferred name for the outfit.
Come and watch the greatest game in the world, and it's going to bring this city to life. And the Devils seems to make sense to me. And I know there's been debate around the legalities and copyright issues. They broadly can be worked through.
The Premier said it was a historic moment for the state, which has finally earned its right to be represented after a hard-fought fight. To the NBL1, where the Launceston Tornadoes will be without Keely Frolling for their double-header this weekend. The captain is heading off to Israel for the FIBA 3x3 World Cup qualifiers. But the team remains confident without their skipper coming off back-to-back wins.
We're just keep getting better game by game. We hope there's no lapse in this upcoming weekend.
they know we're coming in without Frols, so it changes the way we play, obviously. So, you know, everyone in our group needs to step up.
The Tawns will take their success interstate, where they'll look to claim their first on-the-road win facing the Cavaliers and second-placed Waverley Falcons. Kingston netballers will be looking to etch their name into the Stay Chatty Shield for another year when they face off against Corona this weekend. The special TNL game helps to raise awareness and funds for the mental health charity, while promoting positive conversations.
Making sure that we encourage and drive those messages around people connecting with one another, checking in on one another, and making them aware of the support and the services that are around.
We're coming up to our 10th year anniversary of Speak Up, Stay Chatty, so just shows the willingness of the local sporting community, clubs across a range of sports, but in this case Netball Tas, to really get behind our message.
All the action kicks off tomorrow night at the Hobart Netball Centre from 6:30. And Paddy Dooley's remarkable rise as a left-arm spinner has secured him a spot in the Tasmanian Tigers squad for the upcoming domestic season. It marks Dooley's first deal with the state club after a breakout BBL display with the Hobart Hurricanes.
My mantra with this whole sort of process over the last couple of years, breaking in, has just been to take it one day at a time, stay level-headed and work hard and see what happens. So if I get an opportunity in red ball, I'm super keen to do my best.
The Tigers are expected to release their full team later next week. And that's it for sport on what is a massive day, Kim, for Tasmania.
Has been. Thank you very much there, Tom.
Good evening. Hobart's temperature well below average today at 12, Launceston 13, Devonport our top with 16.5 and Burnie 15 degrees. 15 was experienced at many centres today, Low Head, St Helens, Strawn and the Islands all on that number. Friendly Beaches and Bushy Park 12, Grove 10, Lyawini a top of 6. Bit of rain with this cloud that moved through, Zeehan 20 millimetres to 9 a.m. this morning. Tasman Island recorded 19 millimetres to 3 p.m. Most of the southeast of Australia under cloud cover. The rest of the country, mostly clear. Tomorrow, the low will move over the Tasman Sea. A cold front crosses the Southern Ocean with a large high over the continent. The southwesterlies will tend northwesterlies tomorrow at 20 to 30 knots over the west and south with a 3-metre swell. A strong wind warning is on for waters from Flinders Island to Wineglass Bay and from Southeast Cape to Sandy Cape. We do have a frost warning. Now, the frost warning is for the northwest coast, central north and Midlands. Forecast tomorrow, Hobart a partly cloudy 16, warming up a tad, 16 for Cygnet, partly cloudy for New Norfolk and 16 degrees as well. Launceston 16, sunny, partly cloudy for Devonport, 15 the top and 14 for Campbelltown. Burnie 15 and partly cloudy, few showers over the west, Strawn 15, Smithton 16 degrees, St Helens tomorrow a high of 16, sunny for Swansea 16 as well and 15 the top for Fingal. Friday, rain and wind for most of the state, less over the southeast, light showers and possible hail on Saturday, less likely over the north, snow to 600 metres and on Sunday a frosty start to another cold day, showers again over most of the state apart from the north. 25 and sunny in Perth, cloudy weather for Adelaide and Melbourne, sunny and 21 in Sydney tomorrow, fine and 27 in Brisbane and the dry season well on the way over the far north. Cloudy over Hobart, currently 10 degrees, 10 right now in Launceston and 11 in Devonport. That wraps up the weather. Doesn't look great for the next 3 or 4 days, Kim. Before we go, I'll cross back to you now so that you can recap today's main story. What did happen today?
It's not about football. Thanks, Merv. That is all your news for now. We'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.